and you've mentioned guilt and shame before, but guilt and shame is such a big theme. I mean, the Not Guilty campaign. So what kinds of things can people feel guilty and ashamed about?
I think the thing that the initial guilt that often comes is the what if scenario, is what I call it, but it's when people tend to think, what if I hadn't walked there, or what if I hadn't been in a relationship with him, or what if I hadn't walked home in the dark? All of these kinds of what ifs, which are essentially the survivor feeling guilty about their actions, which, like Nina said, is a kind of almost like a survival technique to sort of tell us that we could have had control on it, but actually we didn't have control on it, and we never would have, no matter what our decision had been, because we all have the right to do all of those things. We all have the right to be in a relationship that is not abusive, or to walk down our streets, or to be in a dark place. None of those things are actually causes for guilt, and yet we do feel guilt as a kind of survival mechanism to almost pretend to us that we could have had control. Is that what you
Absolutely. Like guilt is a smart way of saying to yourself, I have control. Like, you only feel guilty for the things we're responsible for. Yeah, if it's something just happens and it wasn't your responsibility, the guilt doesn't come. So guilt is a kind of a smart way of saying, I had control. And we want to have control because we want to be able to say to ourselves, I have control about that not happening again. So it's a smart thing to do, but of course there are consequences with that. Pav, can you talk about guilt and shame?
Yeah, we run something called Cafe V at my Body Back project, which is basically about talking about sex after sexual assault. And the thing that comes up there time and time again that women say is that they feel guilty about their reactions when they want to have sex. So, or they feel shame over that. So there are a number of times I've heard things like, I want to have sex with my boyfriend or girlfriend or whatever, whoever, and I can't, because every time they come near me I freeze up and I feel really guilty because I want to have sex with them, and that, you know, so it occurs, I guess the best way of putting it is it's a really long-term thing, I'm seeing anyway, and there's this shame that, I'm not like other people, my friend does this, you know, in bed, I can't do that, and there's this kind of expectation that you have to live up to this ideal, and I think that partly we're coming into other circumstances there, so I think everybody sometimes feels a bit like there's this sexual expectation that society puts on you, but it's exacerbated when there's something that's obviously that's happened that's really affected you, and you just feel like, you know, why can't we? People, the number of times they say things like, oh, well, I just want to be normal, I just want to have sex like so-and-so does with her boyfriend, and it's just, you know, it's what Nina was saying about compassion, I suppose, and being able to talk about it, and once people have shared it, they can often see that they are normal. That's normal.
And also, that's its space.
I was gonna say another thing that often does come up in stories we've had as well at the campaign is that people feel guilty to their partner as well, and think that they cheated on their partner, which I hear a lot, which again is incredibly upsetting. People think that, you know, what they did was in some way disloyal, unfaithful, which again, you know, is a kind of way of making yourself feel like it was your fault and there's, you know, something you can blame, but actually no example of assault is ever cheating, because by cheating you are being unfaithful, you know, you're making an active choice in your sexual life, whereas consent, non-consensual sex is by definition not something that has a choice in it.